Alright guys, welcome to a new video. Pretty soon for me. I normally have bigger gaps between my videos. But with the release of this new roadmap, I kind of wanted to give my thoughts on it. Other content creators I'm friends with have given theirs. I know Quantum has made a video going over this from a different angle. So I wanted to take the angle of checking out primarily the new champions and the themed events. I'm not going to talk about the content very much because, as we've seen, it's subject to change, subject to disappear completely, subject to be something completely different. So there's no point. They gave, if you want to see brief descriptions, I would either check out Quantum's video or head to the main Discord server, and you can see like little snippets. I believe they also posted it on Twitter and Reddit. And they give like a little 1-2 sentence snapshot of what the new content is. So I'm not going to go over it here because subject to change and I'd, waste of time. And so I wanted to, focus on these new champions and these themed events because they're a little easier to predict and map out. I'm just going to dive right in. Okay, so moving into April here, which is where we are right now as of the time of this video being recorded. Nothing crazy. We know what is here. It's already happened. Cascane was at the start of the month. She got released with her bleed, and we have the Superman event live right now. So, just kind of helping set a time frame so you can visualize going forward how I'm piecing together this timeline. So, if you want a quick review on Cass, I covered her in my last video, which is just a tier list video. But I'm not going to get into her because, whatever, that's not the point of this video. So this stuff is already live. We can already see it. So I'm going to move on to May. So what I believe I've isolated as May is we're going to have this the release of this unit, the first unit here, and the Teen Titans themed event. Now, this unit, I think we've pretty much solved it. I'm fairly confident that this is what this character is going to be Mr. Freeze. Shout out to Devotion here, but a friend of mine, Jay, saved this ad that released at launch for the game. And here you can see Mr. Freeze. You can also see Grodd down here, but let's pretend he doesn't exist, even though he's probably the cooler character. And one that I think people want really bad. But we have Freeze here, and Devotion did isolate that asset, that icon or whatever, and perfectly just kind of dead ringer lined it up with this silhouette. I think Freeze is very likely to come. Just from this portrait, I don't know if he's something that's really like needed per se. As we move in here, I think his tags are for sure going to be Arkham. For sure Arkham. Lod is a maybe because basically everyone that's in the AMW roster, 90% of Batman's gallery, Batman's rogues have been on LOD at some point. Now, it would be kind of weird if Riddler and Joker got snubbed of LOD, but Freeze got it lower-wise. But balance-wise, I think it's totally fair that Joker and Riddler did not get LOD because they're already very strong units, and if you gave them more ways to get ultimate, they would just break the Riddler with energy gain, with LOD energy gain would just be stupid. He'd have to be deleted from the game. So I think that's why they're not LOD, and I think that's why there's a chance he is LOD if he is, whatever. And as for his tag, I think Metahuman is likely. I think Weapon Master is also a possibility. I think if he's LOD and he's geared towards LOD, he's probably going to be Metahuman. And if he's geared toward AMW, because he's obviously going to be on AMW, I think he might be Weapon Master to kind of balance tag synergy better within the teams. As for his class, I think it's between Guardian and Intimidator. I would assume stunning and freezing, like Superman's breath, is going to be a big part of his kit. A big part of what he's going to do is just shutting units down in like an isolation or one-on-one. The questionable thing about him being a Guardian is I believe that is in DC Worlds Collide terms, that's essentially what he is in that game. He's like a main tank. He is stunning and he's self-healing and I believe shielding or just defending his team, but I know he's self-healing and I know he is tanking damage. So they might not be legally able to make him a tank or so. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on that. I might just be pulling that out of my ass, but That may be a reason he's not a Guardian. So I would say Guardian and Intimidator are likely because he could be a DPS, but I see him as more of a debuffer and like a CC unit. So yeah, I think that's Freeze. I think, AMW is guaranteed. The rest of this stuff is, you know, speculation. I mean, it's all speculation, obviously, but, that's extra speculation. As for the Titans event, I'm honestly not sure. I did throw this in here because last year there was a Mother's Day event. Might be kind of weird because, like, I don't think the majority of the characters on Titans tag currently, like, have mothers who are alive. So it might be kind of awkward, or they take, like, a really dark tone with it, which I strongly doubt they would do. But, yeah, there was a Mother's Day around end of May, mid-May, last year, so it's a possibility, but Titans would kind of be a weird theme to use for Mother's Day. But, we'll see. That's just wanted to throw that in there. I think this is the one thing I was just like, it could kind of be whatever. Might just be like a generic Titans themed event. So yeah, that's what I believe is in store for May. And then moving on, I was unsure on a timeline for this unit because as we can see here, we're in May. If this is Mother's Day, it's gonna be like mid to late May, like early 20, like I don't know Mother's Day, but don't tell my mom. But this is like mid to late May. And the next slide is for sure June, like late June. I know that. So he could be this unit could either be releasing in late May or early June. It's kind of between those two. I'm not really sure. I didn't want to commit to a date, so I just put unknown. What we're getting into here is, I believe, and this not being true could very much debunk like half of my speculations, but I believe the background behind the silhouette is showing, this like red and orange, I believe this is signifying this is a variant because it matches the same background they used when they were teasing Death Metal Wonder Woman in the roadmap like a year ago. So this is a variant of an existing character. That's how I started trying to figure out who this character is. And then the first thing that sticks out to me, obviously, is we have ears here. So you're like, oh, Batman. Cowl. Batman is usually going to have longer cowl tips sometimes. So that was like, oh, this collar is weird. It kind of ruled out like an Owl Man or like Catman, which I've heard some people throw around. Catman wouldn't make sense because he doesn't exist in the game yet. And obviously this is weird. This looks like Sora's Keyblade. This looks like somebody holding a vial. This is just something weird. But what I'm fairly confident this unit is actually going to be, and if it is, this is huge. I cannot stress this enough. This is huge for the game's health. I think this is a Red Hood variant from a very, very recent run in DC, the most recent DC KO event that started like fall of last year and ran until a month or two ago. I believe this is a variant of Red Hood where Bruce basically goes across the multiverse and he is finding these versions of his children who have grown up to be Batman. This is what Red Hood looks like as Batman, quote unquote. So this might be like Batman, quote unquote, Jason Todd, or I don't know how they're going to signify it in game if this is the unit. But the giveaway here is, I mean, look, we have these very small cowl tips. We have the collar here, but this crossbow, I should have done this beforehand, I'm sorry. If you flip this crossbow and line it up, it's like a dead ringer, and like the same thing here. If you flip, it lines up too perfectly. This would be an insane unit for the game to get. Like this is insane that we get such a new recent event unit from a comic book event before DC's like official game gets it. Like that's crazy. I can't stress that enough. Because this is a sick outfit for him. He's just badass. And this would just be a giga win if this is what this is. As for speculation on his kit and his class, I think he's gonna be a firepower. I think it's pretty straightforward. Crossbow, kind of sitting in the back, utilizing that crit rate from Batfam, maybe the dodge a little bit too, and his tags I think are just going to be Batfam Weapon Master. He may get like the equivalent of they might do like a variant an overall branching variant team like they have for Dark Metal, or they might split it up depending on if they do more variants from specific events. So like this could be like a DCKO variant, because there's tons of variants they could do for DCKO. I can make a separate video on that if people are interested, knowing that this is Night Fight. But there's a bunch of alternate versions of characters that we have in game from KO and from Night Fight and all the offshoots that came from KO. That would be really great for the game and be really cool to get. So yeah. I'm not sure on a release date here. I believe, I'm assuming this is going to be a bleed unit, because they did say in the newsletter that they're going to start releasing variants as bleed units, which, you know, part of me is, as admittedly, you know, biased towards Red Hood, just sick, and I really want this character. I also really wish that they don't put new characters on the back burners just to keep releasing, you know, copies of rerun or variants of everyone's favorite, like, because DC is so expansive. Like, for, you know, other games, like I know the Invincible mobile game, people were complaining about variants. That game kind of needs variants. DC does not need variants. Like we haven't even, like, no Flash villains, barely any Flash characters, Arrow villains, Superman villains are like non-existent. Like, we have scratched the surface of characters for this game, and I don't want them to just be like dumping out variants in the bleed every other month. I think that would just be unfortunate. But every now and then, I'm not going to complain if we get a sick variant of, like, a fan favorite character. Because, again, business, they got to make money. Obviously, they're going to have to print out some... So, they're going to have to, you know, re-cash in on the hype of certain characters. So, you know, as long as they find a good balance, this is just an overall good thing. Especially if this is really from Night Fight. Like, this, I can't stress that enough. That's so good for this game. Considering we're not, like... We're just partnered with Warner Brothers. We're not, like, officially... like a Warner Brothers offshoot game. Like, this is great for the game. And then moving into June here, we have, this is a special case because the unit and the event are directly tied together. Now, if you have been following the game for a while, you know there's Death Metal Wonder Woman and there's Death Metal Batman. If you've read the source material for this, the main source material for this game, other than just, like, every comic, the Death Metal and the Death Knights, you basically know the Death Metal characters that are going to come. There's 5 total, although it's kind of weird now because one of them was Wally, but Wally's legacy piece is his Death Metal appearance, so it's kind of weird. But we have Wonder Woman, we have Batman already, and there's 2 more. One is Aquaman, who would be kind of weird to release an Aquaman unit alongside Superfam. And the 4th Death Metal unit is Death Metal Superman. Death Metal Superman has long hair, and he uses a guitar like Wonder Woman and Batman for the inspiration that they chose to go for the legacy pieces here. I'll actually throw up a picture here. This is Death Metal Superman. If you looked up Death Metal Batman and Death Metal Wonder Woman, you would find there's they did a variant cover series, which is just, you can find the same for Wally's playing the drums, Aquaman's on the keyboard or piano or whatever, and Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman are all on guitars. So this was our initial thought here, but the only problem is they have said that they only plan to release two iconic characters a year, and it would be kind of weird for Superman to not be iconic, but Batman and Wonder Woman are, when it's literally from the exact same thing. And we did get official confirmation from higher up that this character is not an iconic. So my initial interpretation was that's what this shiny ring meant, is iconic. I believe now that because of the timeline, it means that this character is releasing with the event and not like as a bleed unit. I think this might be like a limited time event unit. So probably not going to be any cheaper than Death Metal units. Let's just put that expectation out there. But it'll be tied directly to the event. So we're going to rule out Death Metal Superman, even though this is what we were convinced for a good 24 hours was the unit. Now, if we look at June, I'm sure a lot of you know there is a certain something coming out in mid to late June. And it's, cousin movie from last June. We did get not a direct crossover of, but we had an event themed around the character that movie was about. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm talking about the Supergirl movie that is coming out on the 26th of June. I think this unit is a variant of Supergirl. Now, is this going to be straight from the DCU? Probably not. It would be, if it is, that's insane. Like, that's incredible because we weren't allowed to do that for Superman. If they're letting us do that for Supergirl, this is the money because now we can do DCU stuff, which is opens like hundreds of doors for this game and its future and is going to keep it alive. So hopefully this is a direct just version like DCU variant of Supergirl. But if not, I think they could just do a Woman of Tomorrow variant based on the comic that this movie is based off of. Because the outfit is similar, but you know they can differentiate it a little more, and they can. I'm sure there's more than just this one picture that they could go off of to build a very different kit for her. Like I could see, you know, an assassin like glass cannon Supergirl unit who is just zipping through the back line, kind of like, you know, like Supergirl's a very like angry character, so she kind of is like not caring about her defense and her well-being, and she's just like plowing through enemies. I could see that being something. I could see them just making her a warrior again. There's options, and I think we'll have to see how this goes. Either way, I would be shocked at this point. Like maybe it could be Power Girl, but like I think Power Girl is enough of a unit that they would just give her own unit and they wouldn't call her a variant of Supergirl, even though technically it's like, you know, alternate universe version. I think DC Comics has differentiated the two enough that I would be kind of surprised if it's Power Girl, but it's not a zero chance. As for her teams, I think pretty straightforward, just Justice League, Superman family, and Metahuman. There's a universe they give the original Supergirl Justice League to, you know, not let her just completely fall into obscurity, which, I mean, Justice League tag is not going to save her, obviously, but it's going to give her something else to go to if she needs to. But yeah, this is almost definitely, either this is DCU Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, comic book inspired Supergirl, or Power Girl, and it's going to be releasing in mid-June alongside the movie and kind of, you know, used to build hype for the movie because we were allowed to do that last year with Superman. So it's all like, and that's when Crypto released, and we got like a Supergirl bleed. So there's a chance, if this isn't a bleed, there's also a chance for like a John Kent bleed or like a John Kent standard mythic. I didn't want to commit to that yet because that's probably expecting a little too much. And especially if Red Hood variant does turn out to be the June bleed unit, then it wouldn't make sense. So, you know, there's options for sure. They could do like even streaky Supercat, even like Crypto variant is like a standard mythic. Who knows? There's options for Superfam that they can do, and we'll have to see what they end up going with. But I think it's pretty likely that this is going to be themed around Supergirl movie. I would be, you know, almost certain, like 99.9% guaranteed. Yeah. All right. And then moving into July here, July looks a little boring. They're not teasing the bleed unit, it doesn't look like, for July, based on how I'm piecing out this timeline. And I think that maybe for a reason that's not a great reason, but also, you know, speculation. I believe what they're going to do with July is they're going to repeat the Aquaman event they had last year. This Aquaman event here. And alongside that Aquaman event, I think they are going to use Aquaman as the first Mythic to Mythic Plus character. My reasoning for that is here. You see this trident. This is not my only piece of evidence, but Aquaman has had a unique legacy piece, quote unquote, leaked in the past, not like data mined, like it was put into game accidentally and like released fully like you couldn't obtain it, but you could see it in the collections. It had like full animation, it had full skill set. It didn't have correct numbers. I think it was just like ones and zeros, but it like was fully written out and modeled. And in the original beta for this game, when it was a landscape game, Aquaman was a bleed unit who had his own mythic piece that you could pull from the bleed. So yeah, I think it's very likely that like he could be the first one because they already know that we kind of already know that this piece exists. I think even in the background of that I'm using on this video, you can see like that trident. It might just be the water effect because he's doing artwork, but like I don't know. And you can kind of see this lightning effect here. Part of the skill description for his unique skill is he upgraded his ultimate to, like, lightning would strike the whirlpool and deal damage. So it turned him into more of a DPS unit. That's just another pointer in the case of Aquaman. Now, if they want to fully theme this event, which I don't think they would do because it's kind of hard to theme, like, you know, a bleed to an event like this because not everyone will get it at the same time because of the bleed calendar. I think either of these Aqua lads are a possibility, but it's also just totally likely it's just a random unit, or we finally get the Al Ghul's releasing a global, whatever. But if they want to theme around Atlanteans, the July bleed, I think either of these Aqua lads are likely. Garth is probably slightly more likely. He's been referenced numerous times in, like, the Titans dialogue, Titans story, Titans events, whereas Kaldur is, you know, more recent, quote unquote. He didn't really kind of jump mainstream until the Young Justice show, and even then he still isn't. He's usually just, like, he's just hanging out in most of the recent Aquaman runs. And he's less of a Titans character. Like, this guy would probably be like Titans synergy more than Aquaman or Atlantean synergy. Kaldur would definitely be more Atlantean than Titans. Might not even get Titans, but yeah, if they want to do a themed bleed, I think these are the two most likely. But also, it's not very likely that they do a themed bleed because, you know, as I said earlier, not everyone will get them at the same time. So moving on, we're gonna head over to August. August is going to have our third variant, and I believe this will be another one tied to the bleed because, you know, as we pointed out last time, Supergirl had the, Supergirl, quote unquote, had the extra effects, and it was tied directly to an event. I think that's a special case. I think this is another bleed unit, and later in the month we have a Green Lantern Corps themed event. Now, this silhouette, this is very Batman. I think if you look at this and don't say Batman, you've probably just aren't a fan of DC. Like, this is clearly Batman. Now it's a question of what Batman is this. You know, it took us kind of a while, and I was rooting through a lot of, like, variant covers of things. I was like, oh, maybe it's absolute Batman, but this wouldn't really, like, if this would, like, thinking this was his axe, but, like, his axe is, like, built into his chest plate, and he doesn't really, like, store it on his back. Like, it wouldn't make sense. And then I was like, when I was confident that was Night Fight Red Hood, I was like, let me look at Night Fight Bruce Wayne. And I mean, like, that's a dead ringer. Like, we have the collars here again, similar to Red Hood. We have this, like, you know, the flattening of this shoulder from the cape. And the big thing here is this, he uses this giant, like, it's like a Batarang brass knuckle, but he, like, two-hands it. It's gnarly. But this, like, indent into this, like, curved bit here is pretty much a complete match. So yeah, I am pretty confident this is going to be we're going to get a second Night Fight variant, and it's going to be Bruce Wayne. Now I think tags are pretty straightforward again, just Batfam Weapon Master. Most Batfam characters are going to have this. They're going to be, literally every Batfam character but, like, Signal would just be a Weapon Master. In Signal, they might even just make him a Weapon Master just for the synergy purposes, even though he's technically a metahuman. But his class, I think, is a bit more iffy than, like, Red Hood's. I think he could be either a warrior or an assassin. Warrior would be kind of lame because regular Batman's already a warrior. But it would kind of make more sense with this guy, especially because he is a more up-close brawler with that giant, you know, Batarang brass knuckle. Assassin could make sense, but Batman is more frontline in your face than Assassin, in my opinion. Especially this version of Batman, because he's very scrappy. You can, you know, he really roughed up in this picture. So I think he's much more likely to be an up-front, in-your-face kind of fighter. So yeah, I'm pretty confident that's what this is. Now, moving on to the Green Lantern event. Now, if we really are getting Supergirl next month, this is opening the door for DCU content, or in June. This is opening the door for DCU content. Now, this is too convenient to not make sense, but the Lantern show is releasing in late August. Now, do I think this is going to be as big of a deal as the Supergirl movie? No. I don't think we're going to get like a variant Hal Jordan. I think they probably would have teased that here. But also maybe not, because it kind of just would have been a guy. But I think what this is more likely to be is I think this is going to be similar to the crypto event. Now, I know I just said Aquaman was ascending last year, but I think, Aquaman would be upgrading to Mythic Plus last month in this timeline. But I think what's likely is a Green Lantern ascension here. Now, I don't think this will be like a full-scale ascension like Aquaman will be. I think this will be a bit more low-key because Green Lantern already has his legacy piece. If this happens, it's just going to be like he's just a Mythic Plus now. You don't have to upgrade him because he's paywalled, or they take him out of paywall and they do some weird... I don't know. I don't think it's likely that they do two Mythic to Mythic Plus upgrades back-to-back like this. So I think it's kind of a one or another, and I think this is like less likely, but I think more people... A lot of whales especially have been asking Naira and Smart Support to make him a Mythic Plus. So, like... I'm sure they know they should do it, but it's just a matter of when. Like, this makes sense, but also if Aquaman's getting ascended, and Aquaman makes more sense. Like, it's weird. So it's going to be one or the other, I think, in my opinion. But we'll have to kind of see what happens. And I think what's more likely is we are going to get the release of... Jon Stewart here as kind of a crypto equivalent, where he's going to be a standard event mythic that you... can get higher star during the event, and then when the event leaves, he gets added to the general bleed and mother box pool. His tags are pretty straightforward. I think he's just going to copy Hal. If they don't make him... There's maybe a universe where he's not Justice League, but it's a really weird one, and I don't think it's one that we live in. But maybe they have some weird Puritan view of the Justice League tag. I don't know. If Adam is on it, then Jon Stewart almost 100% is on that tag as well. But Energy Wielder, both Hal and Sinestro are Energy Wielder, so if John's not, that would be really weird. As for his classes, I think either Guardian or Firepower / Magical, I should say. It would be kind of weird if he's physical damage and all the other Lanterns are spiritual, especially because Energy Wielder seems to only be given to spiritual damage dealers. I don't know. Guardian is kind of just what I think, but I know a lot of people also like, he is an ex-military man, so he uses a lot of like sniper rifles and guns with his lantern ring, so I know a lot of people probably would expect him to be like a ranged dealer. I think either is fine for him. If he's a standard mythic, Guardian might be kind of iffy because stats. And if he's a firepower, as long as he is just doing a little bit of supporting and not just straight damage as a standard mythic, he should be fine. But, the old community manager, Helen, confirmed, like, in July of last year that he had character art ready to go for the game. So we know he exists. We know he's out there somewhere in the lost universe of DCDL's dungeon. But, I think this makes a lot of sense to release him as a standard mythic, especially if they're letting us... Because then we can tie this into the DCU without it straight up being DCU Jon Stewart. It's just comic book Jon Stewart, but now he's in the DCU. So, I don't know. It's likely that this is what this is, because I don't know what else they would do. Like, if they don't do this, it's just a lame event, but it's almost definitely tied to DCU Lanterns, even if we're not getting a character release for it. So yeah, that's what I believe is in store for August. We have variant Batman, second variant Batman for the bleed, and he is going to be based off the Night Fight comic series for DCKO, and we're going to have the Lanterns in late August. And I believe this calendar goes all the way into September because Q3 ends at weird times. I don't know. Now, for this bleed unit, if you have been around for a while and you've seen a lot of the artworks and the events, you should know who this is. It's not subtle at all. This is Beast Boy. No, not a shred of doubt in my mind. The portrait lines up perfectly. Like, people have been begging for him to be released. I'm surprised it took this long for him to get released, but this is definitely my money for the September bleed is going to be Beast Boy. And yeah, his tags I think are pretty straightforward. It's just going to be Titans, Men, a Human, nothing crazy. No other team, and he was an outsider in Young Justice, but Young Justice is like a mockery of DC lore. So please, 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 please stop saying Blue Beetle outsiders. Stop saying Beast Boy outs. Like they were only ever outsiders in Young Justice, and that doesn't count because that Young Justice was just edgy Teen Titans, and it only exists in Young Justice, and it exists in no other lore, and it wouldn't make sense for them to reference that in this game. So it's not happening. Yeah, I think Titans and Metahuman are like, I don't think there's any chance he gets anything else that's in the game right now, or even in the future. Like, maybe he gets Justice League, but like, come on, he's a Titan. As for his class, seeing that he's released before in beta, in landscape beta from before, like closed beta, sorry, maybe even alpha, back when Raish was an epic unit, like the Goons. He was a warrior, and I think that makes sense. I think he's either going to be a warrior or he's going to be a guardian. He's definitely going to be in the front line. It's just going to be, is he going to be an off tank or is he going to be a main tank? He was an off tank in the beta for the game. He, I believe, raised full team attack. He inflicted healing reduction, and I think he's self-healed, so he was more of like a utility kind of off-tank slot, and Titans really needs that off-tank slot filled because the best tank in the Titans roster right now is Starfire, so they're in desperate need of a new frontline, and I think Beast Boy will fill that role. It's kind of a shame they gotta wait till September, but like, they were getting like back-to-back stuff the last like few months, so it kind of makes sense they're gonna chill on Titans for a bit. Unless one of the random bleeds that is not on the timeline is just a Titans unit, and then they're like, okay, whatever. But yeah, this is Beast Boy. Not a shred of doubt in my mind. And then as for this Batman-themed event, I think it's one we've already had. I think it's just going to be Batman Day, because it's usually anywhere from, like, the 19th of September to the 26th. It's just somewhere in there. I threw Batman to Mythic Plus as like a maybe if Green Lantern doesn't have like fanfare around his ascension or even gets ascended at all. This is a possibility, but I don't think it's a huge like I think this Batman, I think this will be like a chill event, like one that we're used to. Like the previous Batman event, Batman Day event was just like a Plinko machine. It was nothing crazy. It's just a standard event. Maybe a base skin now. That's a thing they're going to be doing going forward. But I've kind of hyped up a lot of these other events, and I don't think most of these events are going to be as hype as I'm making them out to be. I'm sure the Titans one that in May is going to be pretty, I don't want to say lame, but like, you know, baseline safe, like a DICE event-esque. Aquaman event might not even have all the fanfare I have around it. It might just be Aquaman. And this event is definitely going to be lame. But if the second Super Fam event and the Lanterns event are lame, I would be, or not lame, are basic, I would be very shocked because they line up too perfectly with DCU release dates for them to not be like something better than just slot machine in different colors. So yeah, that's what I have for September. And just to kind of put it all together here, this is my prediction. You know, we started in April here. This is where we are right now. We're gonna lead into May. We're gonna get our Mr. Freeze. We're gonna get our May themed event. I just used the Mother's Day asset because whatever. Night Fight Red Hood is gonna line up here. June is gonna be very Supergirl, Super Fam DCU themed. July is Aquaman. August will start with Batman and Batman variant, and then end with Green Lantern. And Beast Boy will kick us into September, and we'll finish off September with Batman Day event. So yeah, that is what I am going to put out there as my predictions, of course, for what is going to come. And I should specify, I think there could be like 2 or 3 bleeds that are not shown on here, because there is a chance, there is a universe where Freeze and Beast Boy are not bleeds, which would be kind of weird, but whatever. I would be shocked if Supergirl is taking the June bleed. Like, so either Red Hood is May bleed or June bleed. And then we'd need a May bleed, we'd need a July bleed, and I would assume Batman's August bleed, and then Beast Boy September. So there's at least 1 or 2 more bleed units that could be thrown in here somewhere. So this is not everything that's coming, obviously, and I didn't map out when the events would release, the content would release, because that's just, there's no point. Half that stuff might not even release at all. So, no point. But I think that I feel pretty confident saying that this is where I believe everything will roughly be slated, give or take. Obviously, there's more. Obviously, this is all speculation. I mean, some of this stuff is like, there's no way. Like, there's no way this isn't Supergirl's event, and there's no way this isn't Lantern. I don't know who the heck these characters could be if it's not these two. And timing is speculation, but I'm very confident about these character predictions. And I think there's going to be extra stuff in here too that is not included on this timeline. But yeah, so I think that's going to cover it. Just kind of wanted to give you guys my opinion for what could be coming. Speculation to change. Please don't quote me on this. Please don't go crying, or please don't go complaining to Chad when I say that Supergirl is a unit getting released in June, and then suddenly it's like fucking Bat Cow or some shit. I sorry. Do not swear by this. This is purely for fun. This is purely using my, my knowledge of comics and paying attention to what's getting released for the DCU, and trying to have some fun coming up with some potential new characters that would be very exciting to see. But yeah, I think this is just a phenomenal step in the game. If we're getting very recent comic releases alongside DCU content releases, somehow after all the just slop that we had to deal with, like with Q1 kind of being a flop, they didn't release any of the content they said they would. Kind of, it just feels there's been a bit of a decline since Halloween. This feels like a step in the right direction, and as long as they pull it off, even a third of this, and as long as they stick to this timeline for characters, and they aren't promising these, lined up events with DCU releases, then it's just suddenly not a DCU release. That would be kind of an annoying rug pull. But I have faith. I think that, if DC is letting them do this, that's just great news for the game. I think we are going to have it means we can stay around a little longer and have some more fun. So yeah. Let me know what you guys think, obviously. If you think I'm totally wrong on something, I'd love to hear it, because it's actually really fun trying to put together who these characters are. It was a lot of fun. I worked just a shout out to some people who helped me a lot. Toki, Jay is another content creator, Devotion was around, and another member of the community, Luna, and Bales from 222. We spent a good 2 or 3 hours just digging through everything we could find to kind of put together some of these characters, and it was a lot of fun. I actually this is one of my favorite parts about these games, is speculating and trying to figure out what they could be planning. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed my little rambling about these characters, and hopefully we get some good content this year.